Hello, I'll be ranking all the Shanghai teams in SABCD order. This is going to be kind of controversial, but I'm going to make it as explainable as possible. Or it might not be, but who knows? Okay, so coming in D, I think, I mean, DRG. I think compared to other teams, let's look at it in a statistical way. DRG have gotten third place in their region, China. And in my opinion, China is the worst region out of all four regions. So I feel like they belong in D, but then they're getting at it, but they won't be able to compete high enough against all of these other teams. And then another team I think that I could place at D. Actually no. I'm gonna leave you there, DRG. I'm sorry. I'm gonna move up to C, and this is where I put FPX. FPX is a very good team. They're well, very well comps that are interesting, I'd like to say, because their comps have their Icebox comp, I believe, is Clove, Harbor, Gecko, and then there's also Omen, and I forgot the last one. Clove. It was two. Clove, Omen, Harbor. I'm not sure if I said Harbor, Gecko, and then there's one more initiator. I forgot. Um, I think for now I'll probably under like find out what the initiators later, or I could just yeah. So oh, that's not life. Oh, KO. Okay, so it's KO, but I think they're gonna be staying at C because their teams needs to, well, like I said earlier for DRG, China's very undeveloped, but then they've got the home ground advantage. So I think FX will win something, but then they'll lose and be eliminated and won't qualify for the playoffs. Okay, another team, T1. So T1's an interesting team because they first beat Genji in the playoffs, right here, if you remember. They beat Genji in playoffs. However, they lost to them in a very disappointing way. Yeah, 13 to, oh, these are really bad numbers. 13-2, 13-11, and 13-9. Yeah, compared to like other, it's very except the Icebox game, which I think they did pretty well, but then it was unfortunate. But Lotus and Bind, it's wow, it's not even that close, especially the Lotus one. So that's why I feel like T1 won't do that well. But obviously, it went up against a very strong team. It's very hard to say. They're very inconsistent with how they play, and so it's hard to evaluate them. So that's why I'm putting them at a C. Okay, moving on. This one I'm going to put yeah, Team Heretics. So the reason why I put Team Heretics here is okay. I thought it was delusional or something. One, two, three, four, five. Okay, sorry, I'm not delusional. Okay, so the reason why I put Team Heretics here is because they don't have Miniboo. I think Miniboo is a very crucial team member that they will need. Miniboo is one of the best duelists in EMEA, and I think that missing that and having Patatek to sub in and then having I think it was Boo to become the duelist is very shaky. So I think that they won't perform as well as they did in EMEA, which was second place, and they will fall lower into this category. But Mini Boo, I believe, is still underage, so that's why he can go to Shanghai. I'm not entirely sure, or it might have been due to his educations. But For that reason, I'm putting him at B. Next, next one is EDG. EDG is going to be at B because I think they're a very well team. They play around Kong very well, and it's very obvious that they're having fun. It's all based on team chemistry. Valorant, you have to have good team members in order to have, and then that good team members must have, good vibes around the team, and then so it'll be much easier, and then you can trust your team more. And I feel like that's what EDG exhibits, but then the only problem is that, as I said, China is not as developed as other regions. And so it's going to take time for them to find that and then compete competitively with these teams. Okay, after that, I think I'm going to move on, and then so that's the end of the China region. Next is G2. G2, I think, in my opinion, the one where I think Leviathan should have won the one where it was the lower final because, well, I think the lower final was it was a very interesting game, so to say. Because what happened in the lower final was where it went all the way up to 5 maps, but then these teams played very, very sluggishly, and the calls were very awful. And so I feel like G2, in regards to that, are going to fall down, but then they will do well against other teams right here because mainly these teams right here, especially FPX and EDG, have duelists that are pretty cracked in aiming. And so then they're going to find a way to evade that, or sorry, those people, and then by that they will be able to successfully be placed in the B tier. And so that's why they're there. And so now I think we'll move on to the A tier. Now the A tier is going to be interesting. I think this is where it starts to get harder, and that's why I'm going to put Foot Esports. I like how CNET's chemistry with the rest of his team and how he looks much happier in regards. Because I mean, look at him from Navi. He was it seemed like Navi wasn't working too well, but then Foot is very, very visible for us audience to see that Cena is doing really well. And the comps they're running, it's interesting, but then let me check the comps one more time. It was I think yeah, it's it's something. I'm not saying it's bad. This one, no, it's not bad. But then I'm pretty sure they used to run like comps that were like what is that? Like it was very interesting. I think if I find the game, I forgot what game it was, but it was a game where I think he was Cena was going over. But the point is, I think they'll thrive really well. They start to go off of these abnormal comps, but then who knows? They could go back and save those strats. They're saving strats for Shanghai. So I think they're placing A, and that'll, oh no, sorry, that won't mark the final. There's also Fnatic. I forgot about that. Sorry. And so that'll be for Foot Esports. They'll be at A, or they'll be in the A tier. Now, next is going to be hard from these regions. It's very difficult to call out. But I think I'm going to place Fnatic. If I can. Fnatic is a very good team, but then we start to see them kind of fall apart, if you understand what I mean. Boasters, his cockiness is getting towards him, saying how other EMA teams are bad, but then he gets destroyed. But then again, that was like months ago, and he proved that. But the cockiness, if he continues, then it could cost him the game. And then these comps, right? Is it's interesting. Like I've never seen a deadlock in Sunset. I don't think any team played that. I'm pretty sure there was one Chinese team, but other than that, pretty rare. So yeah, and then Leo. Leo's going to do very well in the A tier. I can feel that Leo's going to get so many assists. In fact, Leo is a very good player that can just start up everything. He can start up attacks for Dirk to go in, and then it really helps them get into sight, and then they can play whatever they want. And both their strategies are pretty. It's still good, but then the strategies are fine, but then the way executing it, it's very shaky. Alfair is getting there. He's starting to get better, but then there's some shots where he's missing and shooting. And then Chronicle, I'm not too sure of Chronicle. I think Chronicle is it's the same thing for Alfie here. It's getting better. The team is slowly getting better compared to the first kickoff tournament where they didn't make it and lost in the playoffs to Carmine Corp, I believe. But yeah, I think they'll be placed in A, and then I think they'll be around fifth place. Okay, now we have four teams: 100 Thieves, Leviathan, Genji, and PRX. The Americans versus Pacific. Now, for the final, or sorry, not the final, for the second to final team going in the A tier, I'm going to put Leviathan. Leviathan is a very it was considered a super team, but then now they're starting to just look like a regular team. It's you can't argue they're a super team because we've seen how they played against G2. It was very sluggish. And we have to think about it. If they do the exact same thing towards other teams, then we're going to struggle. It's going to be Aspas and friends practically. Aspas is probably going to do very well, but it really depends on other people to make that team do super well. Um, we've seen Calm, Tex, Mazzino, King. All those players are starting to step up, but then I don't think it'll be enough to match these three teams below. And then I'll explain to that part later, but then for now I think they'll be in A tier. Next, I'm going to put this is hard. This is very difficult in my opinion. Hmm. I'm gonna do Genji. Now, Genji's a very good team. We can all agree with that. They're very strong, and then they have very good players like Texture and Meteor, but especially Texture because Texture, I believe he he got the kill record, the most broken or most gone kills in the game. It was I believe 100 and it was some 105. Yes, he broke the most kills. I think the record was 101, but he broke it. So congrats to you, Texture. But then I think they'll fall behind these two teams. Now I'll explain why. They're very good teams, or sorry, Genji's a very good team. Right here, Texture is fragging very well. Munchkin's IGL is getting them to another level. Lakia's he's getting there. He's getting there. And Charon. I'm not sure. Charon did very. Um, Charon didn't do the best, but it's okay because I believe he'll do very well during Shanghai, and then that's going to be an additional bonus factor. So Genji looks very strong, but then they're going to be in third, and then I'm gonna explain who is second. And coming in and second is 100 Thieves, and then you can know who the first one is. So for 100 Thieves, I put 100 Thieves in second because I believe that they're a very good team. They have very well coordination. Boosier's IGL is world class, and then I think Cryo is doing very well with getting around the smokes. I think he's basically Demon One, but then like um it's not as crazy as Demon One last year, but then I feel like I get that Demon One vibe from him because Demon One was playing smokes in the EG, and then the crowd was doing that, and he's playing duelist. So I like how they're using their players around. It's very comfortable and it's nice to see. The reason why I put 100 Thieves higher than Genji is because they're more methodical, and Busio's IGL is very how how do I say countering of Munchkin, and then that's why I think that they're going to thrive very well. Their team coordination, their trust, everything, and then Crow's insane aim. It's gonna be crazy. Crow versus Texture. And for Asuna, I think he's been getting better and better. I think most of these shots, it's not like his aim is the best, right? But then as a duelist, he's going in and he's getting traded out. And at the end of the day, that's what matters if you're getting traded out. And they're very good at that. And then their pistols are even better. They have like, I believe they have a like very high pistol round like win percent, I believe. And then their defense is extremely well. It was either their defense or offense, but I believe it was their defense based on how they played. I remember on Bind. Now, coming in first is going to be Paper Rex. Paper Rex is chaotic. They're bringing the home. They're bringing in their trophy home. The first ever international trophy will be Paper Rex. They're very chaotic. They're very chaotic, but then it makes logic. It makes sense because how they're playing. Paper X, they who knows, they can run like three duelists, two smokes, and then just go in and call it a day. Like they're very smart with how they play around, and then it's all chaotics. And I don't think 100 Thieves can do well against those type of teams because those type of teams are one of the worst type of teams to go against. Like if you have a calm person versus a crazy person, it's going to be pretty difficult to get the calm person to, you know, win against the crazy person. That's just my thought and my analogy. But I think Paper X are going to thrive very well. Their Jing has been looking very well with Sage and Raze. Starting to get better. But the person I like is David. David's been doing spectacular, especially in Icebox. I saw you in Icebox. That was great. And then something. Something is probably redefining how Gecko is used. Obviously, opping and geckoing, that's disgusting, bro. Like, get off the game. Oh my gosh. He flashes, then he gets a kill. It's really well. And then there's also Mind Freak. I think Mind Freak hasn't changed, and he still remains the same, and is a very important core. So we have the Paper Rex core, that is, I believe, going to win Shanghai. And if they don't, that would be very sad. But Paper X, welcome home. Okay, good job in getting the trophy. I'm predicting this. Good luck.